Welcome to Recovering with Becca, an old school drinker who woke up in her 50s only to discover there is life after the bottle. I'm your host, Becca Jacobson, and this is one girl's opinion on why we should get sober and how to do it. I offer short, daily inspirations for 45-plus professional women who are searching for a solution to uncontrolled drinking. If you're undecided, I'm here to convince you to take the leap, and I'm here to help you along the way. Listen, gals, we've wasted enough time, so join me and my group of amazing women on the thrilling road to recovery. Hello, gals. Welcome back. Hey, did you hear about the farmer? Oh, shame. One day, this poor and humble farmer looked out his window to find that a wild horse had moved into his field. And the farmer needed help badly. So he went out there and he fed the horse and he loved the horse and the horse stayed with him. And the villagers saw this and cried, "You are so fortunate to have a horse. He can plow your field and you will have a much bigger harvest. Your fortune is very great." "Maybe," the farmer said. The next day, the farmer's son snuck out and tried to ride the wild horse. The horse threw the young man and his leg was broken. The villagers cried, "You are so unfortunate. Now your son can't help you with the farm. Your harvest will be very difficult." "Maybe," the farmer said. The next day, a war broke out in a neighboring land, and all the young men had to go to war, all except the farmer's son, whose leg was broken. The villagers cried, "You are so fortunate. Surely our sons will all be killed, but yours will be safe at home." "Maybe," the farmer said. The next day, the farmer's horse ran away. Again, he was left with no horse. The villagers cried, "You are so unfortunate. Now you have no horse and your son can't work. Surely your harvest will fail." "Maybe," the farmer said. The next day, the horse returned with 8 other wild horses, and they all stayed in the farmer's field. "You are so fortunate," the villagers cried. "Now you have 9 horses to help you with your harvest. Surely you will prosper." "Maybe," the farmer said. I love that story. We could go on, couldn't we? You know, it's taken me a long time, but I'm finally learning to accept that what life brings me just has to be accepted. If it's something that I can't change, if it's something that is beyond my control, how do I know if it's good for me or not? In fact, one of the things that I've worked and struggled to try and learn and get into my life is humility. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you before, and it's something I mentioned it to the women in my world in my coaching group last week. But anyway, that my whole life I've just been known as a know-it-all. Like I was really bad. Yeah, I know. No matter what you'd say to me, I go, I know. Like as if I knew, right? So I was one of those people that just, I know everything. Yeah, I know, been there, read the book, got the t-shirt. Like really, okay, maybe not that bad. I mean, I wasn't, maybe in my 20s I was that bad, but maybe not my 30s or my 40s. But my point here is that it was something that I recognized in myself in the last 10 years, and especially the last 5 since giving up alcohol. And so I'm working on it, consciously working on it. And I tell you, when habits are deeply ingrained, they're very hard to break. Like if we're judgmental, try working on being non-judgmental. It takes a lot of effort. You'll find your mind automatically going towards judgment. Well, I'm a know-it-all. So I have to catch myself literally as the day is moving. I'm moving through my day and going, wait a minute, maybe you don't know. And this is all about remaining open and teachable and realizing that the world has so much to teach us. And that, from a 4-year-old, I can learn something. From it, anybody. There's always something to learn from the people that come into our lives on a day-to-day basis. And so how do I know what's best for me? Something that might look like the worst thing that ever happened. How do I know? Maybe it's not. Maybe it had to happen. I recently heard someone say, if your plane is delayed, it just means you weren't supposed to fly at that time. Be glad you're not in the air. right? So if you get there and they say your flight's been delayed 2 hours, think, wow, am I ever glad I'm not flying in the wrong time? I mean, you obviously weren't supposed to be in the air till 2 hours later for some reason. How do you know? You don't know. We don't know, right? So I love this little fable, and there's different versions of it out there, but it just it's a good reminder to really work on acceptance. It's something that we work on a lot in my program because it's something that's hard, and if we can move into the realm of acceptance in our lives, it opens up a lot of space for freedom, a lot of freedom. But this is all work. All of it's effort, all of it's work, all of it is, and I don't mean like grinding effort. Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I just mean that it's stuff that we just decide, hey, I'm going to play with that, work with that, see what happens, and we'll fall down and we'll forget about it, and then we'll remember, and we'll try it again, and we'll write about it in our journal, and then we'll forget again, and then we'll come back and we'll write about it some more and remember, and that's what it's like, and that's fine. Like, by all means, be very careful not to judge yourself or be upset with yourself if you make a decision that you're going to try more gratitude or more acceptance or more humility, and you find yourself not being able to do it perfectly. Of course you're not. You're human, right? So we're accepting of ourselves, accepting of whatever it is that the world brings into our lives, because we really don't know. We really don't know what could have happened or what would have happened if we'd gone a different direction, or if something would have went the way we thought it was supposed to go. Just one last closing story. There's a famous, well, I guess famous in the world of Alcoholics Anonymous speaker. So this man that he ended up he got sober in the 40s, and then he spent the 50s, or maybe it was the 50s. Anyway, he died in the 70s, but he was famous in the world of Alcoholics Anonymous because he was a really good storyteller. And so he would travel around and speak at AA meetings and tell stories, and then his stories ended up on YouTube, of course, because they were recorded, and after his death, you can hear his stories on YouTube. Well, he tells the story. He was in the United States Marine Corps. And I don't know much about the military, but apparently you get promoted up the ranks, but then you get to a certain point, and if you're not promoted, you're out. Now, I might be explaining this wrong, so bear with me if those of you who know. But basically, the point here is that it came to, he had 6 kids and a wife, and he was trying to stay sober, and he got to a point in his career where he was either going to be promoted to, up the ranks, I don't know to what, captain or what, I don't know, or you're out. You're out of the military. Your career is now over. And this is like after being in the military for like 20 years and flying. He was a pilot. And, he's all waiting, and the day comes and they tell him, yeah, you're out. Sorry, you're not one of us. You're out for whatever reason. Anyway, he goes home and he's devastated. He's got 6 kids to look after. He's got a wife. He's given 20 years of his life to the military. He's sober, working hard to stay sober. And here he sits with nothing. And the way he tells the story, he was basically really irritated with God, to put it politely. And he says he remembers sitting there at the table and just mad at God. Like, why? Why? After I've been sober all these years, I've tried so hard to help other people. And why would you not give me this job? I need this job. This job is everything. Well, a couple of months later, he picks up the newspaper and he sees that a plane, the crew or the team or whatever you would, sorry, I'm terrible with military stuff, but the exact crew, I guess I'll just use that word, that he would have been a part of, right? So the guys that he would have been with were flying somewhere in a plane, and their plane crashed and they all died. Every single one of them. And when he saw that in the paper, he knew he would have been on that plane. Unquestionably, he would have been on it. He would have been part of it. Would have been his response. He would have been there. He would have been on the plane. Plane went down, and they all died. And he says he remembers being kind of embarrassed, realizing that God's looking at him, going, yeah, And he says he's thinking, well, geez, if you'd have told me, I wouldn't have been so. We don't know. We don't know what seems like the worst thing that could possibly happen. We don't know. So there you go. 2 stories with the same moral all in one day. Boy, I didn't plan that, but there it is. These things just happen. Sending you love, gals, and hoping that you can find some acceptance because there's a lot of freedom in it. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me. If you know someone in need of inspiration, don't forget to share and make sure you're following and subscribed so that we can get together every day for short inspirations. Let's make this happen. Bye for now.